Hey there, and welcome back. We're on our third video for V.Sattui Winery in Napa, one of my favorite places to visit when I'm on the West Coast. It's gotten much busier in the years since I started going there. When I started going in the early 90s, you could wander in, get yourself a nice picnic lunch from the deli and a bottle of wine and sit on the lawn and have a grand old time. Now with the train that goes there and the buses and the limos, it's pretty crowded. But it's still one of the prettiest spots in Napa, and the wine is great, so any trip includes a trip to V.Sattui. Little plug, if you guys want to send me some wine, that'd be awesome. Let's get started. I want to bring up the view of the painting. So here we are with the oil painting again. I'm keeping this because this is my reference. I'm not working from the photograph. The oil painting is loose. I really like that about it. I'm trying to keep that spirit alive in the watercolor. They're different mediums, they're going to work differently, but I'm trying to keep that a little bit alive. Couple things I'm noticing is that I have to break up. You'll see on the watercolor I have a very straight line here, and I need to break that up, that shape. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that because it's already dried. If I can get some darks in there, I can do it. And then where the bulbs for the lights come in, there's a light here I'll do in gouache that breaks up that shape of that overhanging eave on that side of the building. And then we've got some catch lights we'll have to put on the barrels. I'm going to put some staves on the barrels. I got to look at this area a little bit, but let's move over to the watercolor. Okay, I think we've been really successful in getting a light, getting this wash with a light glow right at that doorway to really kind of make the flag the star of the painting, and that I put in really loosely. I did do some work yesterday after I finished with you guys, only because of how long the video was. Okay, sorry, I'll have to cut that out. I added the shadow side of these plants, and I did a little work down in here, some detail work and some more work on these trees. Notice this is what I call half toning. You've got a light area against the dark, there's a shadow side. I organically just put the shadow side in, but then I also try to find spots where I can soften up that edge. If you can do that hard crisp edge and a soft edge, it really anchors it together and it doesn't feel cutty pasty. The bulbs I'm going to put in, the strings for the bulbs I'll probably do in ink rather than a line with paint because I can do it thinner. Again, also with the barrel staves. I think I need to go darker here if I can get any darker in this area, and I also, this is too light under here. It doesn't read right. So I need to darken that. We're going to put some details in, and then we're going to finish. I dry brushed in the grass here, and it's kind of got a green and orange thing going on. I may leave that and just work on some detailed grasses in here because this has a really nice feel. I like that dry brush against all of the wet work that we did on this one. So let's start with grabbing a dark, and I'm using the Cheap Joe's American Journeys paints right now. I have been for a little while. Number 10 Kolinsky Sable brush. This is the Yelesiev by Rosemary Brushes, and for this dark I'm gonna grab, I've got some dried out dark from yesterday, and I'm adding some indigo on top of it, but there's some purple in that dried out part that's also there. If I go too heavy here, it's definitely going to present me a problem. I know I have to darken the barrel too, but I want this to definitely be further back than the rest of the shapes in that area there. So by coming in and darkening one more time, it hopefully gives me a level. We'll see how that dries. Hopefully I can see a difference there. And then while I'm here, let's make up a warm color. Not too dark, but we want to have something. We definitely want to give this doorway something other than the plain warm light color that we used in the building, because it was too light, and I think this is already going to work. I think that helps a lot. We'll see how it looks in the final presentation. I'm also going to grab some of that dark color. We've already once done a dark pass underneath the baluster so that we had separation, but I think that if we come in under here with another dark as a shadow there, you may not be able to see that because that's dark on dark, but let's see what happens there. And then the other thing I'm going to do is dry out my brush and just drag the bottom of that so it's got a soft edge leading down. I think that really helps. I am going to come in and do some work in this doorway with a little bit of gouache at some point to make that a little bit lighter. It still needs to be not lighter because I darkened it up, but have some definition. Even in the darkest shadows there's definitely some notation of something. So we'll do something there. Next up, I want to use some of that warm, a little bit darker now, come in and darken these barrels, and don't be too fussy with it. If you're going to do anything, be darker on the right hand side, which is the shadow side. They were just standing out a little bit too much. And also connecting that door frame here to this barrel will definitely help. Already I see an improvement here in the painting from where we started 5 minutes ago. This area is reading darker on the camera than it actually is, but I'm going to see if I can come in and take a damp brush and see if I can just pull some of that out. Just a soft little, make a little visual interest back in there. Just so you can look into it a little bit. And then to help that also, this underhang should be darker than the roof above it and this shadow area. So that will actually help us. And also by darkening under here a little bit. That also helps give us some definition. Now I ran my brush through some water and then dried it on my paper towel so that I can soften this edge, because the away side of that shadow is gonna melt into that background there. That really helped. That really did the ticket. Let's get a little detail going in here. There really isn't too much information in the oil painting. I basically just made shapes for the plants, and that's what I'm going to do here. I just need to put something here and drop in some dark on the right hand side and the bottom, something like that. And then I can take some of that warm color that we were using inside the I don't quite remember where we were using it. I'm squiggling in some calligraphic shapes, and then I'm drying out my brush and softening some of it. We just want to give something for your eye to look at here. Oh yeah, I wanted to, remember I wanted to break up that, because I got that tree there, it's not as bad as I thought it was, but I can even just adding a few more trees. In with the darks around this other tree. That should be enough for that spot. Now I like that much better now that it's not a hard straight line, because you had the hard straight line over here and it was kind of repeating when it wasn't supposed to. All right, let's grab some yellow ochre gold, which is really just a nice warm coffee kind of color. Coffee with cream. I'm not talking about the consistency of the paint at this point. I'm merely talking about the color. And I'm just using it as a background wash here. Behind in that open patch there. And I'm just going to drop some green into it, let it have some variety. Okay, now I'm loading up some green on my brush. And this is a good pointy brush, even for a size 10, which is a pretty big brush. I'm able to get a nice point and just break up the edges on some grasses here that are sitting at this line. I'm not in love with that red I used on the dark side of the pot, so I just threw some of that green in there to kind of tame it, because red and green are opposites a bit, so you can use one to tame the other. And now I'm coming in with just a little bit. I wasn't going to cover this dry brush, but it makes a good playground. You know, that grass there is, some of it's green and some of it's yellow. It's not really perfect. I want to break up this white area just a little bit. I'm gonna take a little bit more of that yellow ochre gold. I want to use this bush back here. If I darken it, it'll push that red flowering bush forward. Put a little bit of burnt sienna into that yellow ochre gold to darken it down at the bottom, and bring it into this underneath color here, to this shadow. And I like these silhouettes of the, whether they're grass or plants. I'm gonna make them flowers, put little red tops on them, and then come back in with a little bit of green, you know, a goldy kind of green underneath. They're just a little row of flowers. I'm gonna leave some white hanging out in there. Covering every inch isn't perfect, and you get that glint of light off of them, so let's just do like that. And there. We are so close to being done. Okay, I'm going to grab the smallest brush I have. I want to do a little bit more outlining on the windows, and then put the barrel staves in and the power lines. Alright, so this is my smallest brush. This is a 0. And I'm going to get a little bit of dark on here. And I want to put a shadow on the right hand side of the window, a very fine one, and start at the top there. Just like that. And bring it down that side and darken this shadow here. And it actually just do something like that. Give that, because even it's in the shadow, it is, but and give it a broken line. Just define that shape of the window. Okay, that really helped. Let's do a little bit more of that on this side of framing in the doorway. And working with a pretty intense color, but not a lot of it on my brush, to get that shadow in behind the railing. I think that, and I'm going to blot some of it out because it's a little bit dark. But you see, setting the stage for dark, then lighter, then dark, even though this all started as one wash, by where we chose to go darker, it helped lay out those stages. I was going to use a pen for the barrel staves, but I would much rather stay in paint and just suggest them. I don't think the pen was the right idea for these. You don't need a whole lot going on, just a couple lines. Doesn't have to be complete by any means. Just enough to say what they are. With that same small brush, I'm just going to tone down the highlight of the barrel bands. Come in with a little bit of shadow underneath the barrels. There. Okay. I'm grabbing a fountain pen here, and I want to start here, and I have to get this right on the first shot. I'm going to hold it back by the edge, and it has to have a little bit of drape to it, and I can't go over it, so it's just going to be one, and then there's another one here that attaches to the building. That's it. And some of these lights are going to have some gouache in them to show up. There. That works really well. While I have the pen in my hand, I'm just going to do the underside of the barrel band. Loose, not too accurate. There. Okay. I think we have our barrels in place. I do want to make this shadow darker. And it should extend out this way a little bit on this side, and again here, because that light is coming from the left-hand side. Okay, I want to throw some spatters in. On the building first. And then I'll do some in the plants as well. But set it up like this. Now I don't want to get the dark splotches in the sky, so now I'm a little bit freer to get a little bit of wet color in that brush, and it can be palette scraps. The color is just going to be this dark-ish color. I'm trying to get the brush juicy wet because I want to be able to do that. And then have it with clear water in it. And do the same thing so that some of it organically hits those dots and blossoms them out. Okay. And then you can, of course, come in. It's still wet. You don't want it too dark. You want to make sure you get any of the ones that are on the windows. But now you get that little bit of texture in there that really helps sell. Blot a little bit of it out. Okay. Getting my brush wet with water and drying a lot of the water out. I want to see if I can rub out even a little bit more of the color. I put it down pretty dark in here, so it's going to be a little bit hard to rub it out, but there, it just gives you a little bit of a view into the shadow. And I'm actually going to try and do the same thing here. And try and just make that little bit how I show off. Yeah. There, that line in there does a lot. Maybe do one more towards the top. Yeah, see, it doesn't have to be a lot. It's just enough to show there's something in there and give that depth a little bit of place to play. Throwing a little bit more dark in this underhang and this cast shadow, because that can help by not going over that bulb. That'll help give it some shape too. There. Okay. There's something I'm noticing in the oil painting that I want to try and replicate. The inner arch of this doorway has a little bit of a golden light caught on it. So I just mixed up a little bit of gouache, and I'm just doing that. I want to actually get a little bit more body into that, so that might be really hard to see on camera, and that's all right. There we go. And that may be a little bit too light, but I can still go back and grab it. I just want to have that little bit of it there. Got a little bit of a glow on that side, just kicking out. It helps add that little bit more of a mystery of what's going on inside. Wow, we've been going for another 27 minutes again. This has got to be the longest video we've done together. All right, let me grab that gouache. Some plain white gouache with a little tiny bit of blue and pink in it. Mostly gouache. There we go. Is there anything else I want to add? I need some white while I have the brush out. Just a little bit of touch up on the flag. I think that's it, folks. I think we have finished this painting. I'm really happy with it. Side by side, let's see if I can show you the oil painting and not quite perfect, but you can see they are different. Both of them have great things that I like, and it's one of my favorite subjects, which makes it even better. While I'm still sitting here, I would like to get a little bit more white into these bulbs, but I don't want them to be perfect. That's the other thing you don't want. You just want to get a little hit. It can even go outside the bulb. That's even better. Just something like that. Now we've got the whole thing. I am going to add a little bit of ink to the barrel staves. And it's broken dots and lines. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that's it. Last thing we do is put our initials on it. So there you go. And if you got my email this morning, you saw that we don't have a location for the online class or live classes in April yet. There was just a mix-up with mounts. It's not a big deal. They'd like me to start back fresh in May with you guys. We may be able to have 1 or 2 at mounts. We're trying to work that out, but if not, I have some other ideas. So look for an email from me on Monday or Tuesday that will tell you where we'll be in April and how you can get there. All right? Talk to you soon. Keep painting. I can't wait to see what you guys do with this.